I actually am not a skateboarder, but after this, we're going to have a tutorial downstairs. Everybody laughs. What basically started out as a very small group of us meeting over beers at the Winfield Grill, trying to just realize a skate park someplace, has turned into an opportunity, we think, to really create what the Tony Hawk Foundation just this week called a national treasure. We have a very organic spot in the city that's publicly held right now that there's very little competition for, that can actually turn into the largest skate park for sure in the United States and likely in North America. We have about 75,000 square feet, we think. Is that right? Or we got, yeah, okay. Of publicly held space available just under and adjacent to the east side of the Frederick Douglass Susan B. Anthony Memorial Bridge. On the land part, we actually had one person that was concerned how we were going to build it with the water under there, but we're actually talking about the land, just to be clear. This is an image of the site. You probably have driven or walked past it numerous times and may not have even noticed it, or are underestimating the size of the space that's available. I know a couple of years ago I even brought the folks from City Hall down, and they were sort of shocked at how big the space was and how interesting the topography of the space is and what the potential is there for this particular space. Here you can see a cutout of what we're talking about, and a very early computerized rendition of what it could potentially look like. So I wanted to just make sure that you had an introductory overview of exactly what we're talking about. We've discussed the sports that are involved as progression-oriented sports. The idea being that progression for the individual, progression in the sport is paramount. It encompasses skateboarding, rollerblading, BMX, and scooters. My kids do the scooters a lot. It's free, it's public, it's open access, it's city-owned, and they've agreed to do the basic maintenance on it, which comes to, they figure it's about $1,000 per 10,000 square feet, so it's very low-cost endeavor in that regard. They've agreed that the insurance will be held by the city of Rochester, just like any other public park. We've also created a non-profit group similar to the Friends of Mount Hope or Friends of the Rochester Public Market to do activities. We have visions of camps for kids. We have visions of expanding and improving upon the park that gets built eventually. And we actually have visions of a skate park system throughout the city of Rochester. We're hoping that this one flagship park is just the beginning. We'd like to see these smaller neighborhood level parks throughout the city. We argue that a skate park would benefit downtown tremendously by offering an alternative. Skateboarding has actually been illegal within the inner loop since 1988, and I've made the argument that, particularly when it comes to youth, that's sort of half of a public policy. We should then provide an alternative for youth, particularly, like I said, when we're talking about youth. This is a very recent picture. I think it'll aid the police in saying, and property owners, you can't skateboard here. This is not what this property is designed for. It's dangerous for you. It's dangerous for pedestrians. But we have the largest skate park in North America, 200 feet away. So just go there, giving youth a sense of inclusion. It's a culturally relevant activity with low cost of participation, enhancing the quality of life, and creating a new significant tourism asset for downtown. I really started just digging into the numbers of what the economic development asset could be for the city of Rochester, and anticipate it's about $1.7 million a year in terms of, by comparison's sake, if you go to a public park, figure you're going to spend about $4.40 per day. This is how I I wrote a report for Commissioner Burgos. Where we have a very good understanding of what participation rates are, and I, again, conservatively estimate that if we can capture just 1% of the participants from neighboring cities, about 10% of our own metropolitan areas. We anticipate the economic impact in terms of what people are going to be spending in downtown Rochester to be about $1.7 million. I think that's a very conservative estimate, and we'll have a report coming out soon that'll be available for your scrutiny. 11 million skaters, about $4.8 billion market. The market is getting a little older. I present to you as evidence A, Alan Prezzuti, who now has 2 children, one born just last week, so congratulations. Who's, what is he, 52? No. But you know, it's our generation, Generation X, that really grew up skateboarding and continue to do it, you know, now with our children, so there's more purchasing power involved. The number of Americans who ride bicycles is greater than those who ski, golf, play tennis combined, and BMX is roughly 30% of that market. Destination for Monroe County residents, as well as certainly for people throughout upstate New York. And we propose that skate park of this magnitude, and I think the guys from ASD can talk about this more, but it's a culture that travels for the next great destination, and this is clearly a destination experience, being the largest in North America. Progression-oriented sports are safe. The real issue comes when there is not a safe skate spot. The vast overwhelming majority of catastrophic injury and death is a child under the age of 18 versus a motor vehicle. But when there are safe skate spots, it's actually less costly to insure and less dangerous than football, baseball, basketball, snowboarding, soccer, ice hockey, just to name a few of the activities. Never once been a successful lawsuit against a public or private skate park. And it's healthy. We have an obesity epidemic in our city. About 39% of our kids are overweight or obese. And progression-oriented sports, a couple of years ago I just built a box in my driveway for the kids to use, and the entire neighborhood would use this box with their skateboard for hours and hours and hours and hours, and it was a lot of activity. It's about equivalent to running a 12-minute pace, which I can't do better anymore. We talk about a skate park system throughout the city of Rochester. There's a tremendous amount of empirical evidence that it is a best practice for crime prevention through environmental design. Pretty well-known study in Long Beach, California, of a high poverty, high youth crime rate neighborhood. The only intervention was building a skate park, and youth crime rates dropped precipitously. Key points: the current site in Division is a flagship and a system throughout the city. It's really an ideal location, being downtown. We have an iconic bridge that's now becoming blighted. I've personally had, and a couple of other members of our board have had some pretty scary experiences down there right now. And we think that we can open that entire corridor up from Erie Harbor, even to the U of R. Kids can hop on their longboard, and it just opens up downtown to a whole new market and possibility with, this is a key point, foot traffic. People driving through downtown aren't going to stop and spend money, but these people are going to be on foot, and that's how, that's the only way really to increase retail sales. We're aware of the competing project with the New York State Canals. We've had some meetings with them. Some of the preliminary discussion is, if that project ever does come to fruition, it's a very costly project, about $300 million project, but celebrating the history of the canals within the skate park, and perhaps thinking of that project down the road, and perhaps constructing this in a way that could, if that should ever happen, accommodate for that project as well. But to be clear, we're moving forward with our project as quickly as possible. This is a very early, rough rendition of the skate park. What's happening right now is that the city had $50,000. It went out to bid, and ASD and Stantec were the successful firm. This was done by a firm that the Friends of the Rock City Skate Park hired, called New Line, out of Canada. to develop, but they weren't the successful bidders. We're lucky now to have ASD and Stantec. So that's the history of where we are with our design firm. Actually, the first public meeting was last night at School 12. But I'll leave that for them. This is a very rough estimate of our planning timeline. We anticipate that we're going to need about $200,000 for the construction documents, which, as it stands right now, our plan is to try to raise that money by offering naming rights to the obstacles in the skate park. And Mike tells me in a park of this magnitude, there's about 40 obstacles that could be open for naming rights. So we'd like to raise the $200,000 for the construction documents by doing that. And then August 10th is my birthday in 2015, so we're going to have this thing, a ribbon cutting, on August 10th, 2015. Mark your calendars. When we talk about skate parks, you probably have an image in your head, and we'd like to flip that image. What we're talking about is really skatable art, and we can all celebrate. So it's essentially the skate park is an art project that is also skatable, that is as friendly for pedestrians as it is for skateboarders, and there's tools that the designers can use to make pedestrians feel safe walking through there, that they can use so that pedestrians like myself will feel safe sitting and having a cup of coffee, like they're not going to get run over by a group of skateboarders. So these are just some images that I want to leave you with of the type of designs that we're talking about. So with that, I have for you the Friends of the Rock City Skate Park 5-year report. It was actually 5 years ago in February that I walked into City Hall and said, I'm Jim, I want to build a skate park, to where we are now. And we're pretty proud of our accomplishments, and we're just beginning. So with that, I'd like to turn it over